I'm Brian Exelbeer. I'm an international recruiter with the University of Delaware's Alfred Lerner College of Business and Economics. So to the 4 of you in this room and to the millions watching online, hello. So this is UD. He's our mascot. He's a fighting blue hen. We date ourselves back to 1743, and UD is a representation of a fighting chicken that they had during the Revolutionary War in the United States. As I said, I'm Brian Exelbeer. I work for the Alfred Lerner College of Business and Economics. I specifically work with graduate business programs with a focus on our MBA. But we also have about 10 master's degrees and 3 PhD programs as well. And I'll be happy to share those with you today. So a few facts about our university. As I said, we're one of the oldest universities in the United States. We date back to 1743, making us the 5th or 6th oldest university in the United States. We have about 22,000 students on campus. That makes us a medium-sized institution. Now, about 18,400 of those students are undergraduates, and then the remainder, about 3,800, are graduate students. We offer over 140 undergraduate programs, 120 master's programs, and 60 doctoral programs. Of our 3,800 graduate students, about 36% of them are international students. So there's a large domestic population for you to interact with. And it's about 50-50 men and women. Within the business college itself, we have about 650 students. Again, 48% of those are international students. So there's a really healthy domestic population for you to interact with. And it's a very good boy-girl ratio at 46% female. We have about 426 part-time students in our college and 225 full-time graduate students in our college. We are located on the east coast of the United States. We're located here in Newark, Delaware. Now, Newark is a city in the state of Delaware, which is the second smallest state in the United States. It's a beautiful state, has 4 actual seasons. We've got great beach access to mountains up in in Pennsylvania. And we have everything you'd want in terms of climate. Something else that we have is that we have no sales tax. So that makes everything just a little bit cheaper when you attend the University of Delaware. Now, we're located about 45 minutes from Philadelphia, which is our closest major international airport. It's a city of medicine and banking and technology. We're about an hour and a half from Baltimore and Washington, D.C., the combined metros that, again, medicine, banking, technology, also government with Washington, D.C. And we're about 2 hours from the edge of New York City. New York City, home of everything. Once you get to the edge of New York City, it can take 30 minutes to an hour to get to exactly where you want to go within New York City. So this creates an opportunity for a lot of internships, both summer internships, as well as during the year working experiences. And then regionally, we have a lot of employers. Of course, we also have employers nationwide that we work with. We have a lot of famous alumni from the university. We date ourselves back, so we have George Reed, who signed the Declaration of Independence, one of the founding papers of the United States. But we also have famous alumni like Joe Biden, the current Vice President of the United States. So there's a lot of people who've come through Delaware, and Delaware has been part of their success. As far as the university, frankly, we're excellent. We rank 29th in public universities. We rank 75th in national university rankings. Again, both of those are from US News. We're 51st for MBA programs, ranked by US News for our part-time program. Everything is now available online at this URL on our institutional research site. They have finally collected all of our rankings together in one place for you to take a look at. The vast majority of UD faculty are PhD faculty, and most of those are research-oriented faculty. Within our business college, our graduate courses are taught by our PhD research active faculty, with just a couple of exceptions where we have brought in some professionals who have exact knowledge in an area to help us, and we monitor those classes very carefully. Graduate courses at the University of Delaware are very small. Even in our MBA program, we do not make large cohort classes. What we do is a classroom of 35 people or less. In many of our electives, you may see 25 or 30 people. The idea is that you have a lot of one-on-one interaction with your faculty member, as well as you get to know every single person in your class. Because our classes are not taught as a cohort, students in our graduate programs get to meet every single person in their program. And in the case of MBA and most of our master's programs, you'll be taking classes with students from all of the graduate degrees. This is a huge win for international students, because this is going to allow you to have a very large, direct network of domestic students who you can interact with, whether that's for help with jobs, looking at resumes, talking to them about references, or just getting advice. As I said, I work for the Alfred Lerner College of Business and Economics. We're the only named college at the University of Delaware. We're named after a former chairman of MBNA Bank. We have a whole series of programs. I'm going to touch briefly on all of them. Most of them are master's degree programs, such as our MBA, accounting, etc. We do offer PhDs in economics, as well as a PhD in financial services analytics. In general, when you are looking at graduate admission to the University of Delaware's Business College, these are generally the kind of things that we look at. Now, these numbers are not minimums. These are numbers that are inflection points where we get nervous. We don't have true minimums because we want to be able to look at every candidate individually. So, for example, if I have a candidate with a low GPA, but who's got a lot of progressive work experience, that GPA doesn't represent who that person is today. That GPA is who that person was a long time ago when they were an undergraduate student. So I want to have the ability to accept that student. By the same token, if I have a candidate with a low GPA who graduated yesterday, I'm going to be far more concerned about that candidate, because that candidate's GPA represents a lot about who they are today. So in general, with GPAs as an example, we get nervous when a candidate's GPA is below about a 2.8. What this means is if you've got 10 years of work experience and a so-so GPA in your past, you're probably fine. If you've got 0 years of work experience, I'm expecting a 3.0, 3.2, 3.5, something significantly better. The same is true with GMAT and GRE. We get nervous when those scores are below the 50th percentile. But, as an example, for MBA candidates who have more than 4 years of work experience and meet a few other qualification requirements, we waive the entire test score. Because we know that after about 4 years of progressive work experience, a GMAT doesn't tell us anything useful towards that person's MBA candidacy. So as you've been out of school longer, your GMAT and GRE are expected to float a little downward. But again, if you graduated from school yesterday, you need to be significantly higher than these numbers, or you need to help me understand what's going on in your background that led to a lower test score. Interviews are always at the discretion of the program, and most of our programs do not interview every single candidate. So it's really on you to make sure that your statement of purpose tells us what we need to know about the student. We need to know why you're wanting to come to UD, specifically UD, specifically this program, how this degree is going to change somebody's life, what it's going to let them do, why they want this degree today. The rest of a statement of purpose is a story. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. The middle is the degree, say the UD MBA. The beginning is how you got here. The end is where you think it's going to take you. But it's always important to talk to us as the University of Delaware. This is more than just making sure you don't mention another school's name in your essay. This is really telling us why UD is important. There are 2 essays for most of our programs. For some of our programs, it's just one. It's a statement of purpose essay. And then, for example, for our MBA, we ask for, I think it's a marketing question right now. But it's an essay that is about something that is not personal. You need to speak about something else intelligently. With all of our essays, you need to make sure you answer the actual question that is asked. And you need to remember to just do your best. In the case of the MBA, if we ask you a marketing question, We're not asking you to give us an MBA answer. That's what you're coming to school for. We're asking you to tell us a logical, cohesive, well-thought-out opinion. Lastly, we'll need 2 to 3 letters of recommendation, and we need a copy of transcripts and resumes. That's pretty obvious stuff. I'll just touch on it briefly to say that with letters of recommendation, professional recommenders are always preferred over academic recommenders, unless you are applying for a research program. If you are applying for a PhD, I expect to see an academic recommendation. But if you're applying for, say, an MBA, a master's in finance, I want to see a professional recommendation. I want to see a recommendation from someone who has actually seen you work. This could be your line boss. This could be a client in the case of a family business or a small enterprise where you're a lead. But it's someone who's actually seen you perform. I'm not judging that person. I'm not judging their title. I'm using their reflection of you to get a better picture of the candidate. So, as a consequence, I don't care, if the candidate gets a CEO letter, unless they've worked in that CEO's office, that letter's not of any value to me. My favorite story is about an MBA student we had apply, who applied with a letter of recommendation from Joe Biden. Joe Biden had no idea who this person was. Joe Biden knew this person's father. That's not really helpful because Dad wasn't applying for the MBA. So we had the student go back and get another letter of recommendation from their actual boss because that's a letter we can work with. So with our MBA program, we admit international students twice a year. We admit them in the spring, which is February, and in the fall, which is September. We also have an admission in summer for June. We don't tend to admit international students then, but students who've come in through our conditional admissions program may start the program then. With regards to our application process, our MBA program has no deadlines. The rest of our programs all have application deadlines, but our MBA program is rolling admissions. This means we make a decision about 3 weeks after an application is submitted. Sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little shorter. The idea is that we judge each candidate alone, and we make an admissions decision, and if we choose to admit, we make a scholarship decision immediately. With conditional admission, we do allow students who perhaps have lower English ability to apply for our MBA program. Normally, we're going to look for a TOEFL of 100 or an IELTS of 7.5. That standard applies to all of our programs. However, our MBA program and a few other programs will do conditional admission, meaning that our student doesn't have to complete TOEFL or IELTS, and instead studies on our campus with our English Language Institute. Once they've completed that program, they then move directly into our MBA program. If the student hasn't already taken GMAT, they will take the GMAT at the end of the English program. We would like MBA students to have 2 years of work experience in addition to what I've already outlined. It isn't required, it's just preferred. There are a couple of caveats. If a student has less than 2 years of work experience, we need to understand why the MBA makes sense for them today. That should come out in the statement of purpose. Our faculty are generally of the opinion that 2 years of work experience helps a student get the maximum value out of an MBA. So if you're asking us to accept you with less, we need to know specifically why you think you're going to get value out of this degree with less than 2 years of work experience. There are a lot of good reasons, we just need one. In the case of students who have weaker English skills and are applying via conditional admission, the 2 years of work experience is a minimum. We do not accept students who have less than 2 years of work experience for conditional admission. Part of the reason for that is that when you apply conditional admission, a lot of the application is not present. We generally don't have a GMAT or GRE. We do not have a TOEFL. We're missing the essays that are associated with those. Oftentimes, the essays that come in on the application aren't as rich with detail as we would see out of a student with greater English utility. And so we need the resume to really fill in a lot of the gaps. A student with no English, no test scores, and no work experience is not going to do well in our MBA, and we're not going to admit that student. There is a dual degree program as well with our MBA. You compare it with most of our master's degrees in business, as well as some other programs around our campus for students who are interested in taking their education and expanding it outward. This fall, we are starting a new MBA curriculum. We do a new curriculum review every few years. The idea is to make sure that what we're providing educationally continues to be of value to students. What we have discovered is that we wanted to add some more flexibility and improve the way that we delivered our program, and so we're really happy to be rolling this out this fall. Our MBA program is now 44 credits long, and the first 29 credits look like this. We have 27 credits of core courses. These are courses that are going to be taken by every single student in our program. They start with things like Accounting 800, which is a general introductory accounting course for business students. They conclude with things like BUAD 890, our corporate strategy course, which is a capstone course that provides students with a real-world or case problem to apply all of their knowledge from their MBA to. In some cases, we will swap out these courses. So for example, if I have an MBA student who's a chartered accountant or a CPA, I may replace the accounting course with something more advanced so that they're actually challenged in that course. But we generally want to use these as the foundation and the completion to the program. We've also formalized our soft skills components by creating a formal series of workshops and experiences that occur over the entire program. They're formalized as 2 credits here, but they actually last for the duration of the program. And they're from everything from strategic and creative thinking to emotional intelligence to career services, all of those soft skills components that make students successful. These are really important for international students because in many cases, the international students already have experience with these topics, but don't know the vocabulary or the method of conveying them in English or with an American culture. And so that's what we're looking to try and train there especially. The important thing, and in my opinion, the best part is this. There are 15 credits of electives in this program now. We have an MBA program where 1/3 of the curriculum is directed by the student. This gives us a level of flexibility that most programs do not have. Many schools have said, we have 5 MBA programs. You know, we've got an international business one and a finance one with fruits and vegetables, and one that's international. Please pick one. What we've said at Delaware instead is, we have an MBA program. What we're going to do is we're going to fit the program to you. We're not going to ask you to fit to our programs. What we've done is we've created a series of emphasis areas. Now, the ones without a star, like business analytics, entrepreneurship, finance, healthcare management, etc., those we have 15 credit majors available in. Those majors can be used to fill the entire 15 credit elective. Every single one of these, including the ones without a star, are also available as 9 credit concentrations. You would do those one concentration and 6 more credits, and that's your elective sequence. You could do 2 concentrations by adding 3 credits to the whole program. But the real flexibility comes with some candidates who have had a variety of experiences in their background or who have very specific goals in their future. And they don't need a full slate of something. They need specific educational experiences to make their dreams come true. Again, let's imagine that CPA or chartered accountant candidate in an MBA program. They've got a long history with accounting. They've learned a lot of finance along the way, but they need to put together some strategic leadership, some entrepreneurship, and maybe some information technology to achieve where they're trying to go. We can build a custom selection of 15 credits just for that student. I think that's a really powerful way of making one degree fit everybody without trying to force a bunch of square pegs into round holes. So I think this has a huge opportunity for every student, not just international students. We do offer a finance degree. It is a very popular degree program. We get a lot of applications for our finance program. As a consequence, it is a very competitive program. It is a quantitative finance program, and we start looking at applications in this particular program by looking at the quantitative subscores of GMAT-GRE and by looking at the quantitative GPA from a student's educational background. There's no work experience requirement for this program, but they don't accept conditional admission. Officially, there is limited conditional admission for this program. However, for the last few years, we have had so many English qualified applicants, we have not accepted any non-English qualified applicants. So students need to pass the English exams as well as meet the other requirements for a finance program that is quantitatively driven. Similar things are true for us with MS Accounting. With MS Accounting, we are looking for students who have a background in accounting, but you do not have to have an accounting degree. If you don't have all of the prerequisites for an accounting program, we will give you some undergraduate coursework to take to help you fill that out. This program will help educationally qualify a student for the CPA. However, it is not a CPA preparatory program. Students do go on to be successful in passing the CPA and earning that designation. Again, there's a limited number of seats in this program, and at this time, while they will normally accept conditional admission, they are getting so many English qualified applicants, they are not really giving consideration to conditional admission. So students should meet the English requirements when applying to this program. And I have a repeated picture, I'm sorry. Not that I like William all that much. I just forgot to change the picture. The MS Information Systems and Technology Management program is my personal favorite program because this is the degree I earned from the University of Delaware. This is how I met the school. This is how I wound up working for the school. So the Information Systems program is focused on creating people who are going to become CTO or CIO of a company. Typically, they will move through an analyst-style position first. You can think of this degree kind of like a translation degree. How do you apply information systems to solving business problems? And how do you translate a business problem back into something an IT group can implement? We've all used bad systems on computers that were clearly programmed by somebody who has no idea how you actually do the job. The goal of these degree candidates is to make sure that never happens. They will understand the problem that's trying to be solved and make sure the IT solution actually solves that problem. Again, there's limited conditional admission in this program. It does actually happen, though, with this program, unlike finance and accounting. One thing to keep in mind is that with this program, the professor would like to see 1 year of technology or IT work, something related to technology. For students who are applying conditional admission, they must have that 1 year. For students who are applying for direct admission, the director will consider something less than 1 year if the student's a rock star in a lot of other areas. I'm going to mention the Hospitality Business Management program briefly. Unfortunately, this program is not terribly well recognized and received yet in China, which I think is quite sad. China has a huge tourism industry. There is so much internal tourism inside of China, of just Chinese people visiting other parts of China, that frankly, China doesn't need any external tourism. There is going to be a massive need for hospitality business management in China over the next decade. This is everything from what you'd expect it to be, like hotels, restaurants, fairs. I can't think of a single word now that's related to tourism, but all of those tourism sites, etc. But it's also institutional management. China is building hospitals. China is putting up other forms of healthcare and related facilities that need to be run by someone who understands what, say, residential plus business means. This is what hospitality business management is. This program is taught in concert with our on-campus restaurant, which is a fine dining restaurant, and our on-campus hotel, which is a Marriott hotel. These are the kinds of programs that lead to a lot of practical experience to go with the educational experience. Briefly on the other programs, I'll touch on our Entrepreneurship and Design Master's degree. It's a unique one-year experience. It combines 3 different faculties together: our engineering faculty, our business faculty, and our arts faculty. The goal of this process is to create a set of faculty who can provide the right kind of education and the right kind of mentorship for students. No matter what a student's future entrepreneurial idea is, we want that student to be able to study topics related to it, use it as their course examples in a logical way, and work within our Venture Development Center to incubate and launch that. This Venture Development Center that houses this program is open to all students on campus, which allows students in this program to find partners and collaborators for their future business. Whether that's they need to find the right engineer, or they just want to find a couple of other people who are interested in the idea. It's a great way to really be ready to go. We offer a bunch of economics programs. We offer traditional economics in the form of a Master's of Science, Master of Arts, and PhD program. Economics, as you know, is kind of like tofu. Tastes like whatever you pour over the top of it. So you can study everything from behavioral economics to traditional structured economics. We also offer programs in economics education for teachers, and we offer PhDs in both traditional economics and economics education. Accounting's a repeat, unfortunately, but international business is like an MBA, but it has less flexibility because all of the coursework is focused around international culture, communication, business, and leadership. Our International and Business Master's degree program has similar requirements to our MBA. However, those requirements are a little bit more relaxed for work experience. They're a little bit more relaxed on the GMAT and GRE, not much, just a little bit, and they're very willing to accept conditional admission. The thing to keep in mind with the International Business Program is it is not an MBA light. It is an international business program. So students applying to that program should want that as a focus. For example, if you want an MBA with finance, this is not the program to apply to. This is not an MBA with finance. Just because you may feel like your chances of admission are higher doesn't mean you should apply to it. You should always apply to a program that's going to allow you to achieve your educational goals. Lastly, I'll mention our Financial Services Analytics PhD. It's underwritten by Chase Bank. They have allowed us to create a scholarship doctoral program. We've actually gotten to build an extension to one of our buildings, which houses a Chase Financial Lab. Within this lab, we can provide access to proprietary Chase data for the PhD students to do research with. We can provide on-site internships for some students to do work with Chase. We've also been able to leverage this program to help create the entire business analytics track that is part of our MBA and is infused throughout our master's degree programs. This has been a huge win for us from an analytics perspective, and we're really excited about what it can do for students. A little bit about campus life. I know that most people watching this are very familiar with US institutions, so I won't go into too much detail. But our location makes it really easy for students to go and visit things. A New York school might make a lot about the fact that they can arrange a trip to the Met. Well, we can arrange a trip to the Met too, but we can also arrange a trip to the beach. We can also arrange a trip to Washington, D.C. We can go skiing. Our location makes this very easy. We have a large student government association at both the undergraduate and graduate levels, and we have all of the traditional clubs that you would expect, everything from sports to academic topics to regional clubs that are based on ethnicity or origin within the world. We do have graduate dormitories on campus for graduate students. The majority of our graduate students do live off campus in apartments. It's a very nice, convenient style of living. You typically have your own bedroom and often your own bathroom. It's easy to cook and live with, and it's actually cheaper than living on campus. So it helps cut costs as well. Everything else is pretty standard, so I won't read to you. Looking at expenses, At the University of Delaware, graduate programs charge different rates based on the program in question. So I've illustrated the tuition rate with an MBA student. A full-price MBA student would expect to pay about $27,500 per year in tuition, $11,200 in room and board. Fees are estimated at around $1,000. Books, insurance, and other expenses are as listed. The University of Delaware offers scholarships in all degree programs. All of our degree program scholarships are offered on a merit basis, not a need-based basis. Within the departments, the monies are generally allocated as graduate assistantships or research assistantships. What we're looking for those kinds of students are students whose backgrounds make it clear they will work well with our faculty. Whether it's that their background happens to be in banking, for example, and we need someone to assist the professor who teaches the banking course, or maybe we need someone to assist a professor doing research in that area. Our MBA program in particular has a lot of extra scholarship money as well. Our extra scholarship money is also awarded in the form of merit scholarships. And we're proud to say that 65% of international incoming MBA students in fall of 2015 received scholarships. 65%. That is a huge number. The reason that number is so large is that we have decided to spread the money out. Instead of giving very few students full scholarships, we are trying to give a lot of students partial tuition scholarships. The goal there is to attract the students who are going to make our classes superior, to bring in the students who are going to be fantastic alumni in the future, and to reward students who have tremendous experience in their backgrounds, whether it's professional experience, test experience, or academic experience. Typically in our MBA program, we're seeing students receive between 25 and 50% tuition scholarships. We're really proud to be able to offer all of this money to bring the right kind of students to Delaware. And that is all that I have, unless there are questions, which I'm assuming you will look online to see if there are questions.
这上面有问题吗？你那边有问题没有？ I want to know the application fee.
Absolutely. The question was, what is the application fee? The application fee is $75. For students in our MBA program who score highly on the GMAT and GRE, we are able to waive that fee. Thank you very much. Have a good day.